What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be showing you how you can fly to Tokyo, Japan in business class using points and miles. And then I'll also be showing you how you can fly in and around Asia, again, using points and miles. A lot of us talk about how to earn points and miles, either through sign-up bonuses or just by putting spend on the card with, high spend categories. But the biggest challenge comes when you want to redeem those points and how to redeem those points for the best possible value. So hopefully in this video, I can help you determine a few ways to either fly to Asia or fly in and around Asia, and just give you some ideas on what you can possibly do in the future with some of your redemptions. Now, if you are curious on how to earn those points, I actually did just make a video on the top 4 travel credit cards that you need in 2024. And basically they have some solid sign-up bonuses, some great spending categories, and you can earn a ton of points with those 4 credit cards, and pretty much anyone can use them because the annual fees are pretty low. So if you haven't seen that video, go ahead and check it out. I will have it in the description below. But otherwise, let's get into how to redeem some points and miles. Now, like I said, in this video, this will be how to fly to Japan and in and around Asia as well, using points and miles, but more specifically, how to do so using Cathay Pacific's program. Now, if you are curious on how to book a flight in business class with another program, such as Aeroplan, I actually did make another video on how to redeem Chase points for max value. And in that video, I have a few examples, one of them being how I personally booked a Singapore Airlines business class flight on Aeroplan's website. So again, check that video out if you haven't already. That'll also be in the description below. But let's get into Cathay Pacific because you actually can fly to Tokyo, Japan using this program. All right, so let's go ahead and hop over to the Cathay Pacific website, as you can see on screen. So if you do want to redeem a flight using points and miles, then you can see there's a redeem flight option right here. And so when you go ahead and click on that, it is going to ask you to sign in. So be sure to create an account or sign in if you already have one. Once you've done that, this will pop up. And I went and filled it in. So we have LAX to Tokyo, one-way business class flight. And I just selected the farthest possible day out. I think when you're booking award flights, specifically, over the ocean with some pretty popular redemptions, it's best to book it as far out in advance as possible. So the best thing to do is just plan a trip about a year in advance, maybe a little bit before. And then once that exact day comes that you want to book a flight for that specific date, then go ahead and hop on here and search for it. So say you were planning for April 17th, then 3 days from now, you will want to come in and make that booking. So in this case, I will click on April 14th, and there's probably some other redemptions before April 14th. I just recommend doing that because it's the easiest. And from that point, we will select redeem flights. Okay, so as you can see, there are 2 options here. Both of them are 89,000 Cathay Pacific miles. And it's kind of nice because there's only 1 flight each. They're about the same time, but they're to both of the Tokyo airports. So you can have a choice on which one you prefer. Haneda is closer to the Tokyo city center, so I'd recommend that one if possible. So if you go and select that one, then you can see that it is the 89,000 points as advertised, but also 2,000 Hong Kong dollars. You can go ahead and click on that and actually change that to a different currency. USD should be at the bottom. There we go. So in USD, that is $278. So it's not the best redemption out there, but it's definitely an option. Comparing that to Aeroplan, like I said, when I booked my Singapore Airlines flight, it was 75,000 points. And then also it was only like $60 in taxes and fees. So this one's definitely more expensive, but it is an option. The nice thing about Cathay Pacific is they do have plenty of transfer partners. So you can transfer points from American Express, Capital One, Citi, and Bilt. They are missing Chase, as you can see, but they still have plenty of options to transfer points to, so it shouldn't be too difficult to earn some points. So as you can see, that's an option. If you want, I can click on another day as well. So let's go almost a week before that, Tuesday the 8th, and there's still 1 option available to NRT. So, there is award availability. It's just, like I said, it's a bit pricier. Okay, so now we're back at the redeem flight screen, and let's go ahead and see how we can get from Tokyo to Shanghai, because we are trying to go on like around the world Disney trips. So basically we just want to see all the Disney parks. We've been to all of them except for the Asia parks. So of course, Tokyo has one, Shanghai has one, Hong Kong also has one. And then afterwards, we're also flying to Singapore. So how can I fly to all of those different cities and countries using points and miles? Well, here on Cathay Pacific, let's go ahead and move this over from LA and do Tokyo, and then select Shanghai, because that's right in between Tokyo and Hong Kong. We'll stick with one way. Now this can be economy. It's only like a 3-hour flight, so it's not a big deal. Economy is totally fine with me. There we go. And then when it comes to the date, I'm actually going to go ahead and move this closer to me now because those shorter flights, they aren't available as farther out compared to the LA to Tokyo flight. I learned that when I was doing some research on this. So let's go ahead and go to like all the way to December just to play it safe. And we'll just, the 1st of December. That's fine. We'll go ahead, hit done, and then redeem flights. Okay, so that search has pulled up. We can see that there are plenty of economy flights from Tokyo to Shanghai for 12,500 miles. So just like that, we can fly from either Haneda or NRT for 12,500 miles. You have CA, which I believe is Air China. Yep, and then the other option is Japan Airlines. So whichever you prefer, I'll probably fly with Japan Airlines because it's from Haneda. So again, it's just closer to Tokyo, which is where we're going to be staying, obviously. So honestly, 12,500 miles is not too bad. I mean, at a 1-to-1 ratio, that's 125 points. If you go ahead and click on one, so like say we're flying on this flight, if you click on it, it should pop up the 12,500. There it is. And then the HKD is only 663. If we change that to USD, you're looking at 89 bucks. So that's not too bad. If you go ahead and look at the cash price, so I do have Google Flights here pulled up. Let's go ahead and do, so what was it? It was Tokyo to Shanghai. And then actually switch this to one way. And then the date was December 1st. We'll go and click on that and we'll see what pops up. All right, so here are those options. You can see the Air China flight does pop up for 300 bucks. Go ahead and make this non-stop as they are all non-stop options. And then where is that Japan Airlines flight? Here we go. Okay, $1,000. That seems a bit inflated. Not sure what's going on there. Maybe you guys will have an answer to that. Let me know in the comments. Let's just go based off the Air China prices, which is $301. So if you subtract 90 bucks from that for the taxes and fees, you have to pay regardless. And so that redemption at 12,500 miles versus $210, you're still looking at a pretty solid redemption. Not quite 2 cents per point, but I think it's something close to like, I don't know, 1.7-ish based off the top of my head. So 1.7 cents for an economy flight is not bad. And that's based off this Air China price. I mean, technically, if you're going off of Japan Airlines, which is $1,080 for some odd reason, if you subtract the 90 bucks from that, you're looking at $990. So what is that, like 8 cents per point? But we're not going to include that because that's just ridiculous. I wouldn't pay $1,000 for an economy flight. All right, so now I'm back to that redeem flight screen. And so again, we are now in Shanghai. So let's go ahead and find a flight from Shanghai over to Hong Kong. So I go ahead and type in Shanghai PBG. Let's go to Hong Kong. There we are. One way economy again. That's totally fine. Don't really care the date. Where it is fine. Let's go ahead and redeem flights. Perfect. So now you can see some flight options came up, and it's looking a bit like about 10,000 miles to redeem a flight from PBG to HKG. So that's even less than the 12,500 than before, but this is a 3-hour flight, and I believe the cash prices are actually cheaper here. So let's go ahead and swap it over to, let's see, Hong Kong. And then there you go. So yeah, you can see a Cathay Pacific flight is only 125 bucks. So in this case, I might just use cash because if I actually select one, there should be some taxes and fees. Yep, here we go. Let's change that to USD. Easy conversion. There you go. So 33 bucks. So yeah, in this case, I'd probably use cash because if you look at the 10,000 points at a 1-to-1 cent per point ratio, then that's basically 100 bucks. And so it'd be 133 bucks. Whereas if I just pay cash, it's 125. So you're technically saving money that way. The redemption is less than 1 cent per point. You could use like the Chase Travel Portal, for example, and get like 1.25 or 1.5 cents per point, depending what you're using. But it's 125 bucks. That's pretty cheap for a flight, honestly. So I'm okay with spending that money, considering I'm not spending like any other money on any of the other flights or hotels, thanks to points and miles. So I'm okay with spending some cash money on just a couple flights. No big deal. But that does go to show that it is good to look at the cash price because you do need to double check that it's worth the value. Now, of course, if you just have a ton of points stockpiled, then go ahead and use it. I mean, it's only 10,000 points. It's not like it's a bad redemption considering it's only 10K. But if you do have other means to use cash and you want to save the points for another future redemption, then that's also fine. All right, so again, we are back at the redeem flight screen. So for the last time we're here, so we were in Hong Kong, and now I want to go to Singapore to continue the vacation. We are done with Disneyland, so that's fantastic. But let's go ahead and see what kind of redemptions we can get from Hong Kong over to Singapore. And then one way, economy, again, that's totally fine. The date, whatever. Redeem flights, let's see what pops up. All right, so it is now loaded, our flight to Singapore. And once again, it's only 10,000 miles thanks to the award chart that Cathay Pacific uses. Basically, just within a certain amount of miles, it'll be a certain amount of points. So once again, it's 10,000 miles, and this one's actually 4 hours, so it's a bit longer of a flight. If you do want to fly business, you can for 28,000, but instead of using 3 times the amount of points, I'm okay with using 10K. So now same thing here. Let's go ahead and select a flight, and let's see what the taxes and fees are. So it looks like it's a little bit higher this time. We'll go ahead and transfer that to USD. So $63. So that's actually not too bad. It's a little bit more than the other flight that we're actually paying cash for, which is 33 bucks, but 63 is not terrible. If we go over to Google Flights, we'll swap this Hong Kong to Singapore, and then we'll see what pops up. Okay, so as you can see, there's a few different options here. The first one is Scoot, which is a budget airline. That is only $122. Now, if you're okay with flying a budget airline in this scenario, then honestly, go ahead and fly that for 122 bucks, pay cash, you'll be good to go. Now, if you don't want to fly a budget airline such as Scoot, then the next option would be Singapore Airlines or Cathay Pacific, which is currently what we're searching on. Now, in my case, I have flown budget airlines before, and I'm really not opposed to it if it's a pretty solid price. But in this case, I've never been to Asia. It's be the first time I'm going there. And I'm not sure I want to deal with that on a 4 hour flight. I would like to potentially get like a snack or a drink included and just not have any issues or delays or whatever it may be, which of course can still happen, but hopefully to a lesser extent or just less likely. And not only that, but the flight is only 10,000 miles and then 60 bucks in taxes and fees. So it's not like it's actually expensive to me. Of course, I could just pay cash for 122 bucks, but in this case, I'm okay with flying Cathay Pacific in hopes of a better experience, considering it's not like I'm spending that much points anyways, or cash, for example. And so looking at this, the actual Cathay flight is $325. So again, doing that cent per point valuation, we're spending 10,000 points, but we also do have to spend $63 in taxes and fees regardless. So if you do the math on that and subtract the $63 on this $325 fare, then you're looking at about 260 bucks. And then from there, the cent per point valuation is about 2.6 cents per point. So 2.6 cents per point on an economy flight is actually a really good value. Of course, you could fly this budget Scoot Airlines flight. If the flight was like 2 hours or less than 2 hours, then I'd probably do the Scoot one, considering everything else is the same. Or if the flight was just in like the US, for example, then I'd potentially do that as well. But in this case, because it's in Asia, because it's a 4 hour flight, I'm going to gladly take up that 2.6 cents per point redemption because I will be more comfortable on this flight, and I also know my wife will be as well, so no complaining there from her. So there you have it. That is how you can fly to Japan or just Asia in general and fly in and around Asia using Cathay Pacific miles. If you're wondering how I got back to the US, well, it's the same thing as getting to the US. I did use Aeroplan and their point system to book a flight back to LA, again on Singapore Airlines business class. And so as you can see, I was able to book a flight to Japan in business class on Singapore Airlines, then a flight to Shanghai, then from Shanghai a flight to Hong Kong, and then from Hong Kong a flight to Singapore. And I was able to do that all on points and miles. However, of course, that middle flight in there from, what was it, Shanghai to Hong Kong, I did not use points and miles, but I could have if I wanted to. I just chose to use cash because it was a better redemption. Otherwise, all I had to pay for were the taxes and fees, which was like, in combination, I think around $200 per person. So for 4 flights, one of them being business class, for only 200 and something dollars, that's a pretty good value if you ask me. And of course, it does depend on the person, but it is nice for us because we now have this 2 week vacation in Asia, which is a place we've never been to. And we're really only spending a few $100s on flights and on hotels. And so we have this massive 2 week trip plan, and it barely cost us anything thanks to points and miles. So I hope this video helped you guys learn something new, especially when it comes to Cathay Pacific, because I actually do think Cathay is a pretty solid program and it does have plenty of flexibility with it. But otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and learned something new. And if so, go ahead and leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. And I will catch you guys in the next one.